Okay.
Hi, it's Dana at the Arts Partnership, and I'm clearly wearing a mask, so I hope that you can hear me. I'm going to try to speak a little slowly and a little louder, which is normally not a problem for me, but I'll see what I can do. But I'm wearing a mask because it's my first time back in a public space with our guest for Tappy Hour. So we are at the zoo with Sally Jacobson. Yay. And Sally, thanks for saying yes to this.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
So you opened Monday.
Last Saturday, actually.
Oh, last Saturday.
Yeah.
That's right. I was here on Saturday.
Yes, yeah. So,
and how has it been?
you know, it has been overwhelmingly positive. People are so excited to have a place to come that they feel is safe.
Yeah.
We've really gone above and beyond in all of the precautions. And of course, there's a lot of places in the park that are closed, but it's outdoors. And so it's, I think, you know, your kids have been locked in the house for so long. Parents are looking for some kind of relief for that mental health, if nothing else. And so it's been really, and I was nervous, you know, because you don't want to do the wrong thing.
No.
And even though you have your plans, you don't know what the perception is going to be, but it's been overwhelmingly really positive.
Excellent. So talk a little bit about the precautions you have in place so people know what to expect when they come.
It's definitely a different trip to the zoo right now. And we do have
masks.
The masks, yes. And so we are recommending masks. You know, of course, we're not requiring them of people, but we are recommending them. We do have a phased opening plan. So right now during the phase, all of our indoor buildings, just like the one we're in right now, are closed. And so people can come to the zoo, wearing your mask, not wearing your mask, I suppose, whatever you want to do there. And we have paw prints set up throughout the zoo, and it's one-way traffic. And so, one-way traffic through the park so that we don't have people crossing pathways with it, or we try to avoid it as much as possible. So there's like a one-way adventure through the zoo, following the little footprints. And we also have a temporary exit on busy days, so people aren't entering and exiting through the same building.
Okay.
Now on cooler days like this, it's okay because people can kind of go through the entry one at a time. But on the busier days, say Mother's Day, there'll be another temporary exit.
Okay.
And of course the carousel is closed. That one poses not problems, but special solutions, because when you have people riding a carousel, how do you maintain that 6 foot square foot? But I do have a plan, so we will be opening that in the upcoming weeks. You know, we had, like everybody else, we're not hired up at the same level we would normally be, so we don't have our seasonal guest service staff hired or trained. We're in the process of doing that now, so we hope that we'll have our other amenities going in the next couple of weeks. So it's been crazy.
But you're here.
But we're here and we're open, and we were one of, if not the first to be open to the public, one of the very first to be open to the public in the country for zoos, because we've all had to shut down. So
Sally, I saw that while you were shut, various zoos were sending food to your animals. You want to give a shout out to them, because I love that you as a community really rose up to support each other.
Zoo people, we're in it to win it together, and we have to rely on each other because you have such specialized animals, and the knowledge of those specialized animals has to be shared, and so we really work together. And so Mesker Park Zoo has been sending us some bamboo for our pandas, which is just fantastic, because again, your resources start to get scarce, and they grow it on site there. So their staff in their spare time, not like volunteering, has been cutting down the bamboo and mailing it to us to give the pandas, which is so cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So I want you to tell the funny story that you told before we went on air of your night of Little Mermaid recently.
Well, yes, I guess it's a good like COVID story if there is any.
Well, it's a creative one.
But we did, I do have our staff, our animal care staff especially, our staff was all on different teams. And so there's one team that takes care of the main park on certain days, and then another team, they don't cross, and the other team takes over. And then during this whole last 2 months, I've been up in the admissions building where the primates are. That's my specialty. So it kind of worked out really well that I had to be the one up there. And there was a period of time, like my kids were at their dad's, and I didn't see another human for like 5 days. And I am a human person. I crave talking to people. And I just felt myself feeling so lonely, and realizing as I was doing it that I was talking with the monkeys more and more as I was cleaning. And that Saturday night, I was like, you know what, let's watch a movie tonight. I brought in my big computer monitor, and we watched The Little Mermaid together. And it was great enrichment for the monkeys because of the movement and the color and sounds, and it really psychologically stimulated them. But they'd come right up to the screen and touch it, and then look behind the screen to try to find out where
the girl was.
Yes, and like, what's going on? What is this, concoction here? And Zeke, one of them, when the Little Mermaid sings, what's it called? Feet. He goes, and he's trained the word foot. He's trained the word foot, but he's not trained feet. So, but I know it must have been just a coincidence, but I have to share those videos. They're so cute.
Yeah, you do. But that's kind of amazing.
Yeah. And then when I walked out, they actually looked disappointed. You could see their eyes like, oh, dude, you're like, right out.
Yeah. One of the things that I have always appreciated about this zoo, and Lisa Tate did it, and you do it, is that you have incorporated so much education into this being also a place to come and observe. And I just have always really appreciated that, because I don't have any background in animals. I don't really know, the differences in the kinds of animals that we have here. There's so much about this zoo that happens behind the scenes that makes it such a universally important place. So can you talk a little bit about sort of your cold climate animals and your breeding and all of that?
Yeah, I think that our behind the scenes stuff, in my mind, is the coolest stuff that we do.
I do too.
And that's why I try to get out there. That's why I love what Lisa, when she built the vet center, we built the big windows so you can watch as the vets are doing surgery at the zoo. I mean, the more behind the scenes stuff we can get out in the front, because there's one thing of looking at a wolf and reading a sign maybe, but if you really start to learn what's going on behind there and get engaged behind the greater process that we have, or the greater philosophy of what we're doing. So our zoo is very specialized, or very important and unique in that we specialize in cold adapted species. Not to say northern zoos can't do African animals well, but our zoo's mission has always been to specialize in cold adapted species. So species that go outside every day in North Dakota and from around the world, but the same similar climates. And I think because of that is one of the reasons that we've had such good success with breeding some of these animals. Pallas cats, Chinese red pandas, Szechuan takin. It honestly, because if you're an ACA accredited zoo, your care, of course, is going to be up here above the rest. But I think the difference is here, the environment is so much the same. The timing of day and night, those are biological triggers for breeding, are all in place for the animals because it replicates their environment so well. And so I think that's why we've had such success. One of the things I'm really excited about was last year we brought in there in the back there these black-footed ferrets. This was kind of cool. We are one of the 6 zoos, I think, in the world. We started this thing called the Zoo Parks Partnership, where it partners a zoo with a national park. And so the thought is to get people to visit zoos and national parks back and forth, have a common education mission and a common language, but we also can help with metapopulation management. Meaning, say our partner is at Wind Cave National Park in South Dakota. So they recently, black-footed ferrets were thought to be extinct. This is going to get wordy, but whatever. I guess I'm here to be wordy, right?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
They were thought to be extinct until 1987 when a rancher found some on his land in Colorado. And so at that time, there were 16 individuals. The government seized them with the thought that they would start a breeding colony and hopefully repopulate one day. And they've had a lot of success. So Wind Cave, a number of years ago, introduced 25 to their park. And so when people come to our zoo, they'll see signage about Wind Cave, and we have a little donation box over there. And with that money, we send our staff, we send local college students and other volunteers a couple times a year down to Wind Cave to help with studying that population. So they go out in the middle of the night with flashlights, catch them up, you weigh the animal, you microchip it, and then you also give it medication to inoculate it against the plague, things like that. So what I like about that is that when people come to the zoo and learn about these concepts, then they also know there's a real world application to it that we're supporting, or a real world application that I can get involved in. If I want to, I can sign up and go down to Wind Cave with my zoo. So it takes it beyond the ivory tower or beyond the complicated species survival plan and breeding genetics, and it takes it to the common person. And that's where I see us going more and more as we continue to evolve. And we are small but mighty, let me tell you, because we run on this much budget without any public funding, which is nearly unheard of. It is. Yeah. It is. I mean, over 90% of zoos get some kind of subsidy, or have had it until they are big enough to sustain on their own. But what our community has built here we've done, like, you know, you can probably point to people in town that put these poles up. You know, we've created it together, which I think is really cool.
How old is this zoo?
This is 21 years this year that will be open.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, one of the first things I ever heard Lisa reference, and I only bring up Lisa because she and I started at these jobs kind of around the same time. Lisa talked about, you know, this idea that this zoo in particular, is not like, let's just pen in some animals so people can go and gawk. Talk about this idea of being a living museum.
It is. It's a living museum. And we need to, when we're building exhibits, just like you're putting on an exhibit at an art museum or something, you need to be respectful of, say, your art piece. And so when we're creating the exhibits for the animal, we have to be respectful of that animal's environment and make sure that we're portraying that animal in the correct way to the public. And I think that there's a lot of people that want to see us grow faster, faster, faster. You need to have this animal, that animal, big one. But what I love is that we're dedicated, like, even though there's that pressure to do it, we're not doing it until we can do it the right way. And the right way costs money. You know, and so, like, we do what we can for the animals that we can, both for the animals, but for the public when they're coming to see them. It's different than a roadside zoo, like you saw on Tiger King or something like that, but they're in a cage. Not only is the environment is constantly changing, we have grass and stuff, but we have training every single day for the animals. They're doing training.
Yeah, when we sat down, you said, oh, the wolves are over there because they're having training, like they're in preschool or something. So what does that entail? I don't know that piece of this.
Yeah, so all of our zookeepers are trained in operant conditioning. And so each of the animals is trained for specific behaviors. And what the goal of operant conditioning is one, to give the animal choice over their own life. So, and also to protect our staff. So if they want to participate in training, they can. If they don't, whatever, but they'll want to because they get a treat. And you get them to do specific tasks, like you might train them to open their mouth so that if they needed a dental exam, they can. Or train them to or give blood. So you train them so that you're not shocking them if that you have to do a veterinary procedure. You know, training them, one really beneficial is shift, we call it shifting. So they're trained to come inside and, like, with a bell ringing. So that way if you have an emergency and you have to move them, they're already familiar with this process. Oh, bell ring, I'm gonna go in my crate. No big deal.
Wow.
Not unreal to them that there's a fire or something weird, you know what I mean? Yeah, and so it really is about the animal's welfare. And of course you can train them to things they think are fun too as well. And I think it's enrichment for the keepers. And that's a significant investment because it's hours and hours and hours. If you think about a sloth, he's been the biggest challenge.
I bet he has.
Because they don't like to move that much. And to find a jackpot treat that's jackpot enough for a sloth to want to move is,
What is that treat?
I have to ask the keeper what it is. I know he really likes, there's this one flower, they're pink, what are they, hibiscus, he really likes hibiscus flowers. And so the goal with him is going to be two things. One, to let us trim his nails, and then two, to have him get on a scale so we can weigh him. So the scale behavior is taking a bit. Now the nails are good, but it starts with just, we have this little marker that they have to touch, okay, you touch. And once you get the touch down, then you build on it and you move it. And until you build on each behavior. It's really incredible.
Yeah.
You think that my dogs at home are way more trained?
Well,
if you see me on the street, my dogs are not trained this way. This is my dog's time.
Yeah, you don't have time for that.
Yeah, and then they all get enrichment, so some kind of psychological stimulation every day, physical stimulation, something that's meant to encourage or give them the opportunity to participate in species-appropriate behavior. So there's all this cool sciencey stuff that we just need to talk more about. Because to me, if I just go, well, there it is, big deal.
Yeah.
But if you actually learn about, wow, what goes into the carrots, just
the psychology of your program is what's so interesting to me, because you just don't think about that being a necessity or even a desire. You really just think about, well, what are the ways that animals can just maybe present themselves best so that people want to keep coming back, forgetting that the animals have lives and experiences, and you want to take care of them.
Yes, and it's just looking at animal welfare, you can look at the species welfare and say, well, we're doing right for the species, but not really. Each animal is their own individual. So we track our individual animals' welfare as well.
Mm-hmm.
One of them might not like the sound of whatever it is that you're building over there going on. And so you have to constantly reassess each individual's welfare. One animal might like going out on it, to schools. Another one might be like, no way, even though the species itself is supposed to be fine.
Right.
Yeah, and so there's all this cool data in the back that we keep track of and watch. Or one might want some kind of, if you're giving them medication, they'll eat it if they have this kind of.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when you're at full staff capacity, how big are you?
About 45 in the summertime, I'd say. Yeah, so I think we've had up to 50, just depending on the seasonals. Year round, we have 23.
Okay.
Yeah, and so when this hit, we went down to 13. Now we got the PPP, thank goodness. So I was able to bring back. Well, right now we're running off of winter-size staff. But it's amazing. The one thing I think has been really cool about this, even watching through the community, and like what they've done. I can't remember the company that's done the hand sanitizer.
Oh, Proof.
What they've been doing. It's just the ingenuity. The ingenuity, and even I see it with my staff. We went from this to here. Like, okay, we need to make online classes. Let's make some videos. Let's, how incredibly flexible people are. If they need to be.
If they need to be, yeah. I do think we have learned some incredible lessons. We've been challenged in really interesting ways.
Yeah.
And really stressful ways. I mean, there's no question it's been stressful for the arts sector.
Oh, yeah.
But the pivot is interesting. And as I keep saying to people, for 10 years I've said to the community, bring artists to the table because they know how to problem solve. They know what to do in a panic.
Yeah.
Guess what? We do know what to do in a panic. The arts sector has shown up.
Yeah.
Yeah, including you. I mean, I view you as part of our sector because of the way you talk about this zoo.
Yeah, it is. It's almost like an art piece itself. And art is so critically important to our zoo. I think Lisa built, to really embrace that, and I'm trying to build on that. Because that's what makes it its own place. That's what makes it its own unique, and it gives you the flavor of Fargo. It's its own little place, and it is in large part due to the art in the zoo, and I believe that the exhibits are just as much like an art.
I do too.
When you're looking at the otters exhibit, and you're depicting something. And you just have to factor in the living being part.
Well, even to be sitting in this space.
Yeah.
This could just have been a square space with windows, but it's not. It's a rancher's cabin.
And it tells a story. It tells a story of the decimation of wildlife in the 1800s, if you want to go that way, or we can kind of detail it for however. Right now, everything's been pulled off the walls.
I was gonna say, where's the baby bunny? Off the wall.
Everything's off.
That's one of my favorite.
I had to remove all the touchables from the entire zoo.
Sure.
And they're hiding away. Obviously, they'll be brought back. But anything that was a highly touched surface. Yeah, when you start to think of it, you're like, oh my gosh, that's to be touched, and the playgrounds, but people are out, and I've had parents that they purposely came before bringing their children to check it out, to see if they felt good about it, and they did, and that's the biggest compliment ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're like, no, I felt good enough to come out and just enjoy the sun and the animals. Yeah.
So what do you need, Sally?
Well, right now we can't handle a lot of volunteers.
Okay.
I think as we move forward through this, we will definitely need volunteers and we need creative partnerships. I was just thinking that, because we still don't have our concessions open, it's going to be limited what we can serve there, but why not is there food trucks or something in town that want to partner with us and, but a big need is going to be money, obviously. It costs about $100,000 a month to run the zoo. It doesn't matter if I'm over.
Say that again and say it slower and look right there.
It costs $100,000 a month to run the zoo. And
it's incredible.
Let me tell you, we are lean. Like,
you
in
are.
Our industry, people are like, how did you do it? We're creative, and we rely on our community to help us with things, not just money, but to help us get through, create something beautiful with nothing. But so you can see the slippery slope happens fast. Even though we have a great plan, we have an endowment fund, but of course that went through the whatever, like everybody's.
Fell, yeah.
And we have our budget, our annual budget, but it's so unpredictable.
Yeah. Every nonprofit leader I've talked to has said budgeting, including us, budgeting feels insane because it could get so much worse.
Yes.
Before it gets better. How do you plan for worse?
Yes.
This feels as bad as we can bear.
Yes.
But it could get worse.
I feel like I'm like looking into a murky crystal ball, just
Mhm.
making my best guess. Like
Yeah.
maybe half, maybe, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be optimistic, but also plan that if there was something,
Yeah.
you know, and the membership renewals have been just touched my heart because people immediately started renewing their memberships, even knowing at that time when we were closed that they couldn't come to the zoo,
Yeah.
knowing that they would come some other time.
What's a family membership cost?
It's $85 for an entire year.
Okay.
So that gets you, your significant other, and all of your children into the zoo, and 150 other zoos across the country. Half price are free.
Gosh.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
We
realize
partner
that.
with everybody. Now,
Yeah.
hopefully they'll all be opening up soon.
Yeah.
You know, it'll be interesting to see as that progresses. But I know the other zoos in North Dakota are opening up this weekend,
Okay.
so that's good.
Yeah.
And I guess each community will open up depending on the size.
As they, yeah.
Yeah, I would guess Seattle or someplace might be quite a while, but
Sure.
yeah.
Where can people go to donate to you?
They can go on our Facebook page or website, redriverzoo.org. They can come down to the zoo. We have a Harley raffle going on. If you're not just a straight donator person, we do have a Harley raffle coming up for $100 for a ticket, and they're going to draw, and all the proceeds go to the zoo.
It's incredible.
So, and check out our Facebook. I just think we do a really creative job with this
Yes,
Facebook.
you do.
We like to be risk takers. You know,
Yeah.
Jeremiah and I are like, okay, are we going to do a April Fool's prank on everybody? You know, like, again, I don't like to be the ivory tower, even though I like that data in my mind.
Yep.
With the guests, I like to have a fun
Mm-hmm.
piece. And so our Facebook, I think we've done some fun stuff.
I think you have too. And you've had a lot of babies born this spring.
We do, yes. This year I was looking forward so much to the spring because, so we don't breed animals here unless we are essentially told to.
Okay.
So even though babies at the zoo mean money because people want to come see them, I have a very moralistic point on that. We don't breed them unless we're told to, and there's a home for them. And so last winter we had recommended pandas, our takin, our white-necked crane, and our Pallas cats.
Okay.
And so I was like, yes. The pandas, I don't think it took, because they're only fertile for 24 hours a year.
What?
Yeah. Something like 24 to 36 hours. Yeah. And so
Wow.
that time was coming up, and we hadn't got the mail in because we're always shifting.
Sure.
They tell you this one from this zoo to this zoo. And we got him like right kind of in time, and she was kind of like, hey, and he's like, ah. So
Shoot.
yeah, he's like, you're freaking me out. So maybe next year. That's the thing, they're individuals too. Like,
Well, I appreciate that she went with consent. That's
Yeah, yeah,
good.
she's
That's
like,
very
I
good.
respect.
Yep. It's very good. Wow.
but yeah, so our little camel baby is doing so good. You know, so this as well. She was born March 14th, but she could not figure out how to nurse. She could not figure. She's so long-legged that she just couldn't get her head. Like normally they're about 100 pounds, and she was 114. Just all
yeah.
legs. And eventually we were trying to milk the mother and trying to do all this different stuff, but the mother did dry up. So we've been coming in throughout this. I mean, my staff to come in at midnight, 3 a.m., 6 a.m. every single night, even though they're worried about their families and all the stuff that's going on.
Yeah.
It just really is a true testament to how much they care about the animals that they're charged with caring for.
Wow.
Yeah.
But she's doing all right.
She's doing great. And now the zoo that she's going to, they work in with the camels, meaning their staff go in. So she needs to be really familiar with humans. So even though she's being raised by her mother, we have human time several times a day. And so now we're starting to be able to take her on walks, which I think the
Really?
public is going to freak out.
In the zoo? Like out and about?
Take her on a walk through the zoo. I know. I was hoping it would be when you guys were here, but it wasn't.
Oh, that's really disappointing.
Yes,
That's
I know.
incredible.
Yeah. And she's like, you know, she kicks, so we'll have policies in place as far as people can't come up near her. And
Sure.
she gets excited. And
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, but that's kind of cool. So our horse goes on walks every day, and our camel too.
And you'll have her until when?
We have her at least 6 months.
Okay.
But now, again, with all of this, the shipping animals has kind of become an issue as well. So our fox exhibit might be empty for a while. You know, Esther passed away. She was the oldest fox that I know of, gray fox on record. She passed away last year before winter hit, so I was going to wait till spring.
Yeah.
And now it's like, I don't know if I'll be able to get one in.
Yeah.
And then also when you were not certain of how you're going to make money. It's like, I don't even know.
Right,
Right.
right.
So there's a couple little spots in there that are empty, but in general, I think this is
It looks good.
Good. Oh,
I mean, when I walked in, it didn't look like you hadn't,
yeah.
it didn't look like you'd been closed for 2 months. It didn't feel like you were sort of bare bones.
Yeah.
It felt exactly like you're supposed to
I know.
feel.
And it's green now.
Yeah.
It's so nice to see grass again. Oh, here they go.
Oh, there.
You know,
Are those all boys?
We have one female.
Do you think we can get him to come over?
I probably could. If I can step out for a minute.
Yes,
Okay.
please do. I feel like that's worth it.
Yeah, let's see if I can get him to come over.
So I realized I forgot to bring a poem. I'm out of practice because last week I was such a bust on my own that I'm totally out of practice for how to do Tappy Hour. So next week I will get back on the program. I can't imagine it's ruined your Friday that I forgot to read a poem, but I feel bad because there's a lot of great animal poems. If you need a recommendation, maybe read William Blake's Tiger, Tiger. It's kind of deep and heavy, but hopefully Sally can get them to come over. Oh, they're all howling. Let's look this way, Ethan. Oh my gosh.
Oh, don't touch.
Hi boys. You're terrifying. Play nicely, boys, Sally says. Hi. I know we don't have anything.
Oh, they're gonna go that way. Usually I run this for fun. Sometimes
No,
I
it's
run,
good.
I run over there, then I run over there.
Oh yeah. See? Hello, beautiful animals. Well, Sally, thanks so much for letting us come and do this. Congratulations on surviving your 2 months,
We've got through it.
on keeping all your animals alive,
Thank you.
and on getting open.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for everything that you are doing in the community.
Oh,
really.
absolutely.
Honestly.
Well,
it
we're
takes
happy.
it takes a village to make a place sparkle.
That's
and we are
true.
lucky in Fargo that we sparkle.
We sparkle, that's true.
Yeah.
So if you haven't yet been to the zoo, if you feel like you're gonna lose your mind if you spend one more afternoon with your children, delightful as they probably are, come to the zoo and let them run just a great big loop through the zoo
There
and
you go.
wear them out.
That's right.
The fresh air, the animals, the green, all of it. Bring some treats and just come and enjoy the zoo. Come and support the zoo, more to the point. Support and enjoy. So I'll see you next week with a poem, and we'll talk soon. Bye.
Yay!